What is up, everybody? It has been forever since I posted a video on this channel. Actually, I know for a fact it's been more than a month because 7 weeks ago I gave birth to my beautiful daughter, Olivia Rose. If you know me personally or you follow me on my Instagram, Gravy Baby, you know that my daughter is in the NICU and that she was born at 29 weeks. So yes, today we are celebrating her 7 weeks into the world, and I just can't believe how crazy this experience has been. It has been very, very beautiful, but very, very challenging. I have found strength in myself that I didn't even know existed. If you saw my previous video, you know that I was on hospital bed rest for 3 weeks. The plan was to be there for 9 weeks, but Olivia had other plans. I feel like on my social media, and shoot, even to my family, I don't think I explained exactly everything. So moving forward, 3 weeks after being on hospital bed rest, my daughter was born on May 24th, 2019 at 4:04 p.m. I'll never forget that. So that was a Friday, and I would say I started laboring 2 days before, but I had no idea. So the morning of that Thursday, I did have my RhoGAM shot, which is crazy to think that I got that and delivered the next day because it was so important for me to get that. But I was feeling crampy, and throughout these 3 weeks, I didn't have any contractions. I was leaking fluid, but it wasn't too heavy, and I saw a little bit of blood, like a bloody discharge, and I told my nurse, and the doctor looked at it and he was like, it's probably nothing, because this whole time they were monitoring Olivia, monitoring to see if her heart rate dipped, to see if I had any contractions, and none of that was occurring. I had absolutely no signs of labor. So pretty much that Thursday, I just slept all day. So moving on to the special day of May 24th, before it all went down. So I was still feeling a little crampy, and I was starting to feel cramps on my lower back, but I had nothing to compare it to because the nurse kept saying, hey, does it feel like period cramps? And I'm just like, I don't even know what period cramps feel like I don't have cramps. And my discharge was getting a little heavy, and so the doctor came in. He was like, look, Gracie, you have no contractions. I know you said you're cramping. What we'll do is we'll put you on magnesium sulfate so we can prolong your labor even more, just in case you are in labor. So that morning, around 9 a.m. I called my husband, and he had just left to go to work, and I was just like, is there any way you can come back? I'm not feeling right at all. I'm kind of in pain. He was like, what did the doctor say? And I was like, the doctor doesn't think I'm in labor at all. They will give me the magnesium sulfate, which when you're on magnesium sulfate, you have no energy. You are so high. It takes a lot of effort to even go to the bathroom. And so that's why I wanted my husband to come back and just leave work and be there the entire day with me, because I knew, because I was on it the day that I was admitted to the hospital 3 weeks before this point. And it's honestly the weirdest feeling ever. And at the same time, I was texting my best friend. I was like, I just don't feel right today. And she was like, do you think Olivia's coming today? And I'm like, no, they're giving me magnesium sulfate. There's no way in hell she's coming today. And so they also gave me an additional shot of steroids, which they gave me 3 weeks prior to this, just in case she did come out. And this steroid, shot is to help her lungs develop more, and to just kind of make her stronger if she decided to come out, which she did. But anyway, we're not to that point yet. So my husband's there throughout the day, and this is maybe 10, 11 a.m. The pain is starting to increase. And I don't think it was I was in labor. It was painful, it was tolerable. It was just cramping in my mind. I didn't think that this was actual labor. So we get to around 1 p.m. and I'm just like, I haven't eaten in 2 days. I'm just like, this isn't normal. Like, I know I'm on magnesium sulfate, but I still should be at least eating or drinking water. And that's another thing. When you're on magnesium sulfate, you cannot drink as much water. And my neighbors are being a little loud, but let me close that door. And so throughout this whole time, my doctor is monitoring Olivia's contractions, and I did not have one single contraction. And so I'm asking the doctor at 1 o'clock, is there any way that you can check to see if I am dilated? Because the cramps are just increasing. And I couldn't even like walk. I couldn't even use the bathroom without being in pain. And I just kept thinking to myself, oh, it's probably the magnesium sulfate and cramps at like mixed together. That's why I'm in so much pain. Like, still the thought of labor, it was here, but it really wasn't here, you know? And so at like 1:30, 2 o'clock, my husband is hungry because he's been there all day. And my husband was like, I don't want to leave you. But my doctor was in the room, and my doctor was like, no, she'll be fine. She'll probably just take a nap. So go get lunch and come back in, let's say, an hour or two. Go handle what you have to handle. So he goes home to check on my dog and to pick up his brother, and they go grab lunch or whatever. And so the whole time I'm like, okay, I'll just take a nap. I could not sleep. I was in so much pain, y'all. And so I'm texting my husband. I'm just like, I know I'm not contracting, but I just really don't feel like something's right. And I'm texting my best friend and my mom and everyone, like, I just don't feel right. And everyone's like, okay, do you think that like she might come today? And I'm still like, no, there's no way she's coming today. Like, I am gonna be here until the 4th of July. That's gonna be her due date. I am not going to deliver today. And so 2 hours pass. I actually take a nap, and at like 3 o'clock I wake up. Just needed to go to sleep just to make time go by and just to like get over this pain. And they're still monitoring me. I have no contractions. Olivia has no dips in her heart rate. Like, it's a completely stable, normal day. And for Olivia, not for me, I was in pain. Like, at this point I was just like, I could not even speak. I didn't have the energy really to text or talk on the phone. And my doctor walks in, and I'm just like, please, doctor, I'm not going to say his name, please check to see if I'm dilated. Like, I am in pain. And, oh yeah, and prior to this, they did give me, I don't even remember what medication, but some kind of like pain relief medicine that you can take when you're pregnant. That didn't work. So the doctor's like, okay, I will check. And side note, the reason why he wasn't checking to see if I was dilated is because when your water is ruptured, the reason why you're in hospital bed rest is so you don't get an infection. It is so important to keep your baby protected from any infection, and that's why he wasn't wanting to check me to see if I was dilated, because he didn't want to irritate my cervix or cause an infection. So he finally gives in, and it is honestly the most painful feeling when he checked to see if I was dilated. Like, that was just insane. I was like literally crawling up my bed like, like, no, this is so painful. At that moment, I looked at his face, and I just knew in my mind that I was going to give birth in like an hour. So he is like, I feel her feet, because if you haven't been keeping up with my story, Olivia was footling breached, so regardless, I would have had a C-section, so I mentally prepared myself for that, but that's gonna be a whole nother video. So he is like, I feel her feet, and you're 7 centimeters dilated. And in my mind, I'm like, this pain pretty much felt like 7 centimeters dilated of what I thought that labor would be like. So I call my husband and I'm like, get here now. Olivia is on her way. I'm getting an emergency C-section. And he was like, okay, I will try to get there in like 5 minutes. And I'm like, yes, because the doctor said he wants to move this as quickly as possible. And so I text my mom, I text my best friends. I'm just like, prayers up, Olivia's on her way. And that was it. That's the last thing everyone heard from me. I barely even talk about the situation because it's kind of a blur. So during this time, it is moving so fast. The doctor is giving the nurses orders. The nurses are like, okay, we're gonna shave you, we're gonna give you anesthesia, you need to fill out this paper, this consent form. And at this time, I'm just like overwhelmed, but like in a calm manner. Like I just felt like I felt like it wasn't reality. Like I felt like I was dreaming, but I was excited. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to meet my daughter today. But at the back of my mind, I was just like, I literally just gave it to God. Like I had no time or energy to feel any kind of fear. And so I'm signing the consent form. They're like, I'm glad you're shaved and trimmed because we don't have to do this step. And I'm so glad that I had the nurse that I was with because she was super cool. I gave her my phone and I was like, when my husband calls, tell him where to go. And so she took care of that. So that was already like, okay, one less thing on my plate. So they undress me, transport me to my new bed, and off I go to the delivery room. And so when I get into the delivery room, there's everyone introducing themselves. All of this is happening so fast. I don't even remember what nurses, what doctors were in there, but everyone were covered from head to toe in their scrubs and their shower caps or whatever they're formally called. This one doctor tells me, bend over, we're gonna give you your epidural. And I'm just like, didn't they say that they were gonna give me anesthesia? And so the doctor and him are kind of like going back and forth. And in my mind, I'm just like, oh my God, just pick one. And so the doctor's like, no, we're going to put her completely under. And the, guys, I can't even think of what the person's called that gives you the epidural. But he's like, no, I think we can do the epidural. We still have time. Because my doctor was so like about time. He's like, no, we need to get her out right now. So they're going back and forth. And at this time, the guy that does the epidural, he was like, no, we're going to do this right now. And he tells me, breathe and bend over, like arch your back. And so one nurse is in front of me holding me because at this time my husband still has not made it to the hospital. So I bend over, the nurse is holding me, and they give me the epidural, which to me wasn't painful at all. I guess through all the pain that I had gone through throughout the day and getting RhoGAM shots and literally almost every week getting blood tests, I had been so used to needles at this point. So the epidural wasn't painful at all, and they were like, okay, we're going to give you a catheter because we're going to start surgery like in 5 seconds. And so after like 2 minutes, not even 2 minutes, like a minute after they give me the epidural, I cannot feel anything from my waist down. And I was just like trying to move my feet and I couldn't. Like it was just a weird feeling. But guys, like honestly, I feel weird saying this, but I couldn't stop smiling. Like I was so excited about this and not even nervous at all. Like I literally gave it to God. Like literally, I'm like, half of my foot is in the grave right now and I'm just giving it to God. And I remember praying, and I remember talking to my grandmother, who to me is my guardian angel. Try not to get emotional. Postpartum, you guys, you know. So I remember talking to her and asking her for strength, asking God for strength, asking God to protect my daughter because she's coming super early, praying that everything goes smoothly and that my husband makes it on time. But my priority was my daughter. So they lifted me onto the surgery table, and there's just people all over me. Like, I didn't even remember seeing my doctor. And they're like, okay, you're gonna feel some pressure. And then they started the process. And it, like, time was just kind of going slow, but going fast at the same time. Like, I can't even explain how I was feeling at this moment, but I kept smiling. Like, I was just so excited. See my husband walking in, and at the same time he's walking in, I hear a little squeak, like, ee, ee. And they're like, she's here, she's here. And my husband looks at her and he's like, she just looked at me. She has so much hair. Like, he's so excited. So the doctor, my doctor didn't even know at that point my husband had walked in. So my husband didn't get to cut the umbilical cord. My doctor cut it. And so one of the nurses grabs my husband and is like, hey, we're gonna take you to the NICU and all of that. And at this moment, I'm just like, thank God. Like, I started crying and I was just so happy. Like, probably the happiest I've ever been in life. And I will never forget her first squeak. It was like a huge sign that, like, okay, she's here. Like, this is life. This is the biggest gift that I have ever received. And looking back on it, like, everything that happened before, even the pain that I went through during my labor, it doesn't even, like, amount to the love I have for Olivia. And so, you know, the doctor's sewing me up and they're, like, literally chit-chatting about, like, basketball or something. And one thing my husband did say when he walked in, he saw them, like, remove some part of my body and pull out Olivia, and I'm pretty sure he's scarred for life. But this experience was completely crazy, but the most beautiful experience I have ever been through. I never thought in a million years that I would have had my daughter prematurely and also a C-section. Like, in my mind, I was like, yeah, I am gonna have a natural birth. But like they say, it's like you have no control. You can speak things into existence. You can speak on what you want to manifest, but in the end of the day, God knows best, and God knows what your plan should be. And literally, I have never in my life completely just given it all to God, and I literally did. So yeah, that is my crazy birth experience. I will say the most painful thing is not the epidural. It is when they remove the catheter. And also when my doctor checked to see if I was dilated. So yeah, that is my birth story on how Olivia Rose came into this world. I hope she gets to see this video one day. And Livy, I went through so much to make sure you got here safely, so be nice to your mama. This journey has been going on since 2015. We've had multiple miscarriages, having to be on bed rest a lot during this pregnancy. Just like my miscarriage story that I put out, one of my first videos, I got a lot of feedback from that, and I've met a lot of amazing, strong, beautiful women who have hit me up on Instagram, who have either had a miscarriage or have been on hospital bed rest for Preterm or have a premature baby. I'm using this channel to share my experience for the people that have questions, for the people who are going through the same thing, for the people that are just like curious, like, why did Olivia come so early? So my next video is definitely, I am planning to show you a day in the life of the NICU, Olivia's milestones, must have for preemies, and NICU hacks. So if you are going through the same thing, if you are on hospital bed rest for Preterm and you know that your baby should be coming soon and you want to see what it's like to be in the NICU, make sure you subscribe, because this journey is not over. And like Lauren said about Nipsey, the marathon continues. So if you stayed here this long to see this video, and I know you personally or you follow me on social media, thank you so much for the encouraging words, and make sure you give this video a like and send lots of love to Livy, because she is thriving in the NICU. and I cannot wait for her graduation day, and I will also be sharing that special moment on here. So later.